What up?
What's up? What's up? Happy Saturday.
Yes, ma'am.
How y'all doing?
Doing well. Seems like forever since I've seen you.
Even though it's just Wednesday.
Right. You don't have to do all the business, Lisa.
I missed y'all.
It feels like forever. So thank you all for being here. Happy Saturday to everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Truth and Nothing But the Truth. And so before we get started, please give StreamYard permission to see your comments because we want to see your posts. And so we're going to ask you to do that. And if you know someone who would benefit from this conversation about marriage, building a better you, a better marriage, then please share this with people that you know. And we thank you so much for rocking with us. And so without further ado, let's get into this conversation. But I wanted to just kind of ask Lisa, why don't you give us an introduction of what we're talking about today with the Better Me, Better Us?
We are talking about part 2 of the Better Me, Better Us series, but we want to focus more so this week on how two individuals come together under the construct of marriage and how they work together as a team.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so we've been having some great conversation. Our first session was January 9th. When we really did a lot of focusing around the concept of building a better me, the work that starts with the individual before we come into partnership with others. And so today we're going to really be talking about, now that we've done the work and focus on us, how do we bring the best of who we are into this partnership called marriage? Because we don't just want to build a house, huh? We want to build a home, okay? We're good loving. I said it, good loving and good building and good growth is going on. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. So, in part of talking about a better me, better us, and again, if you're joining us, thank you so much for joining us. Please feel free to comment and connect and give StreamYard permission to post your comments because we do want to shout you out. We've been talking about that there are 2 to 3 components that go into building this home, right? The first thing is making an assessment. So just like on a personal level, we have to assess where we are, because nothing gets great without really coming face to face with the reality of what's going on. We said that we have to make an assessment in our partnership of marriage. So we were talking about this value added, and most of us believe that we are the cream of the crop when it comes to being spouses, but we've been having some real conversations about what value are we adding to our partnership. Yes, I said, we always think that we, okay, maybe just me. I'll stay true, right? But the value added for those contemplating single, you're single or maybe you're engaged, and when married and maybe your marriage is in a new direction, you have to continually assess the strength and areas of opportunity. Why don't you all talk about that for a moment?
I mean, that's like a kind of having a job, right? I mean, in a professional setting, you get assessed at least once a year. And so for me, that model also goes into the construct of relationships. Mm-hmm. It's like or at least I'll say I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm not adding value or value is not being added to me. I want to be challenged to be my best self in any given situation. So when looking for a partner, that's what I was looking for. Someone that would add value to me and I would add value to them so we could build, an amazing life together and stick it out when things get tough.
Yeah. What do you have to say, Tobias?
And to piggyback off that, to add value sometimes mean I have to step outside of my comfort zone, because I can't be challenged and be comfortable at the same time. So at some point, I'm going to have to be uncomfortable to add value not only to myself, but into the family unit.
Ooh. So we want to open up. We have a couple people who have joined us. We want to open up with a great engagement question. So please give StreamYard permission to see your comments. Let us know if you're here. Put something in the post. We want to hear from you. So our first engagement question is,
Ooh, we about to get some tea, honey.
Going to that understanding of value added, would you date yourself or stay married to yourself?
So it depends on which self we're talking about. My 20-year-old self.
Well, currently, because you out of that life.
Now that I'm a woman of a certain age, honey, she all that. It's hard to get here. She's good now. Mrs. Daniels is rocking it over here with this whole baby and this whole man. Yes, I'm good.
What about you, Tobias?
Yes. Back in the day, probably no. I am not the polished person that you see before you now. There has been a lot of growth that had to take place to get me here. So yes, I would definitely marry me and stay married to me.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
I love how you said I would definitely marry and stay married. You better come on. Yeah. You better come on. Okay, so let me see. Would I date myself and stay married to myself? Yes, absolutely. But no, I think like anyone else, you come into relationships and you think that you're prepared, right? And you think that you prepared and especially the background I had, because we were taught the way we were taught in our church, you felt like you were prepared for sure. And so anyone who was coming to get you, you were definitely the cream of the crop because we were so hopeful. You see what I'm saying?
Awesome. Wow.
I realized that I still like my stuff still was thinking, right? Like my mindset was still thinking, my attitudes were still thinking. So of course, you know, the growth that I've had, I definitely would marry myself at this stage of my life. But I think I was doing well in my dating years. So those of you who are on the live, so my friend Angie just laughing. Geraldine said yes to both. Let me put you up here, Geraldine. Thank you so much she said yes to both at this stage, but earlier self needed to grow. Absolutely. I'm with you, Geraldine. Absolutely. Yolanda says, I would stay married to me. And she said, if I was single, I would date me. You better.
Yolanda got it together.
But we often have to think about that because we were just having a conversation about this whole idea of, you know, in our last conversation was talking about this list that we often bring into the marriage. Things that we've been taught, things that we idolize, things that we dreamt about, and having in another mate. But we often don't have that real assessment of, do I add value and how do I add value to that person if they showed up? And so thank you so much for participating in the conversation. Anyone else want to add anything to that?
And also, well, I'll just add, I think value changes. Like, because when I first got married, it was all about making sure I had the stuff and he had the stuff to like build the foundation. But now that we're older, the value that I need to bring and he needs to bring has changed.
Yeah.
Because we have a kid, we're older, we're later on in our career. So the sustainment of the relationship has changed. So therefore the values have changed.
Now, listen, you brought up something. Not only do values change, but also our priorities change. So I'm gonna bring the statement up that Angela said. She said, honestly, I wouldn't date me. Life is a bit busy and I'm not willing to stop that right now. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just dropped a mind bomb in this conversation because you have to know where you are in your stage of life. What are you willing to give up? Honestly, when you're getting married, contemplating marriage, going into the next season of marriage, what are your thoughts on that about being busy and maybe not being willing to stop there right now? And what does that mean for adding value to the relationship?
So you're telling me that I'm gonna have to change something to be in a relationship? Is that what I'm hearing? I can't stay the same. Everything can't stay the same. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
we are. We are.
But that concept is often missed by people. That I have to change something to gain something. We often think that I can just gain it and continue to gain without giving up anything. At some point, I'm gonna have to go ahead.
No. I was just amening you in the corner over here.
Oh, at some point, I'm gonna have to give up something to gain something for the betterment of for us. And so that's an honest mindset that she had, that my life doesn't consist of a relationship right now.
Yeah. And I think also, I would say also people have to choose, and it's okay if you don't want to be in a relationship, because I actually had to make that conscious choice too. And my conscious choice was, if I want to be married and have kids, then I need to kind of get off of this trajectory that I'm on long enough to get married and have children. But if you're older in life and children aren't really a factor, get married when you want to, or don't get married. Like, it's where you are in life as to whether or not a marriage or companionship is important. So for me, it was important because you kind of like got to be on the younger side. I mean, if you want to, assuming there's no other factors, but assuming you can have children, you got to like get off the train long enough to, get married and have kids and make space for that area in your life. And also, I got off the train because I was like, well, I don't want to get to the top of this magnificent mountain that I'm dreaming in my head and I don't have anyone to share with, because it ain't no fun if you're doing it alone, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
I agree. Success is only good with someone to share it with.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, for those who don't want to be married,
it's cool because it ain't for the faint at heart.
Oh my goodness.
And you can have great success. But even if you have a village to share it with, wait. Take off your glasses because it's not for the faint at heart.
There was a tear. There was a tear. I'm back. Okay.
Okay, so Geraldine, this is so true. She said, we often don't enter into relationships from the standpoint of adding value. Truthfully, we are very one-sided.
Well,
You're dropping gems. Yolanda, value does change based on what the need is. I love it. Okay, so we came down Angie's spot. She said, ouch.
Like, was we in your pew, girl? They be getting in my pew too, honey. Sometimes it's okay. We love you still.
Better me, better us.
Right.
So thank you all so much for engaging in that question. We're going to move on to talk about, you have to give grace to yourself and to your partner in the relationship, because we do not always evolve at the same time. And there are hidden components that come during the marriage. Ooh.
Listen, we're gonna let the counselor touch off on that. we need some academia for this.
So we all have baggage. No one enters a relationship baggage free. So certain baggage does not manifest itself until after the marriage. It's no way to know everything about your spouse. So certain things are not going to appear until it is triggered. And so when those triggers occur, then that's when the fun starts. Like, oh, I thought I was over something like this, but obviously I wasn't. It could be something as we'll take the example of a man being ambitious, but he's ambitious because as a child he was told that he wasn't good enough, and so he's going to be. So now he's a workaholic, but it looks good. But again, he's sabotaging the relationship because of something that he was told when he was a child.
So how do you reconcile? But how do you reconcile that when you are in this, like truly reconcile all of these different things that you come to the table with in a way that doesn't overshadow your process and enjoyment in marriage? Because sometimes, you know, you say we come with a lot of baggage. A lot of us come with a lot of baggage, unrealistic expectations and all of that other stuff. How do we really process that without it overshadowing our process in the marriage?
Oh, I thought you was going to this. Oh,
sorry about that. I tossed it to Tobias. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's not a problem. Well, the thing is going to be communication. Is explaining where I am with a trigger, because the spouse doesn't always know that they triggered something. So the communication leads to everything. And so once I have the communication with my spouse is, okay, this is what triggered me and this is why I do certain things, then maybe the understanding will be better. And if there may need to be a counselor involved as to why I do certain things.
And that is so true. What are your thoughts on that, Lisa?
I mean, that's a good point. And I mean, not only do you have to be communicative, they can't read your mind. I mean, you walking around with your lips twisted and all, like, what's wrong with you today? You know? So, and also I would say, not only does your spouse not know your hidden components, sometimes people don't even know their hidden components. And so it's not until you're triggered, right, that you be like, ooh, that didn't feel good. So then it's incumbent upon you to kind of go down that rabbit hole to gain awareness as to why you're triggered. Because until you heal that baggage, you know, it's destructive and it's self-sabotaging, not only to you, but also to the couple, and it's a hindrance to moving the unit forward. So it's incumbent upon you to be aware, to become a better me in order to perpetuate that in the better us.
I love that. Let's see what they're saying. Geraldine says, we shy away from counseling, but sometimes we have to deal with the things that are interfering with us living healthy lives. So true, Geraldine. So true. I was just having a conversation with someone earlier about the power of counseling, whether it be Christian counseling or mental health, or whatever counseling, but the power of having a safe space to be able to dump that baggage, shed it, and then come back a better you for the better us. So
yeah, you could have called me the bag lady when I first got married.
Bag lady, you so bad.
Эрykah Badu.
I'm not supposed to know that song, but I do.
You gonna miss your bus.
Right.
Listen, they need to say bag man too, but okay, we're gonna move on from that. Men come with so much baggage as well. But you know what? We talked about getting married is a gamble, because at first we all, listen to this, send our representative.
She be cute though. I was cute when I was sending my representative.
Talk about that, sending your representative. Come on here.
I mean, you want to put your best foot forward, right? I don't think in general is malice, but you know, when you're dating, you don't want to scare the person away, right? So people try and create this persona, you know, almost really as a trap.
Oh,
and then they be like, surprise! And the person be like, oh, what had happened? So we all do it, but the gamble is you just hope that there's not such a gap in the representative and truly who the person is that is not, you can't overcome it.
I told a friend of mine, this is gonna sound kind of mean, but we'll go with it. I told her, I said, she's like, I want to get married. And I said, okay, well, don't be you then.
Oh, wow.
Said,
you just went there.
Yeah, I said, don't be you, and then you'll get married. I said, then after the marriage, after you say I do, you can be who you want to be.
No, you can't. I'm going to call the state of Michigan and tell them to take those.
I'm trying to help her. I'm trying to help her.
Look, no.
But that's in the lines with sending your representative. So so that's what I was making laughter about. But yeah, we often send out a representative, and then 6 months to a year, then we find out who you really are. But by that time, we've already said I do, you know, and we've already opened the wedding gifts, and here we are.
You done drank all my champagne, my champagne.
Listen, hey John, he said, I'm just here to get fed. Hey John, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Angie, are you bucking your eyes, Angie? She's so surprised.
Can you say more, Angela? We don't understand.
Listen, Lisa, you brought up something in our planning. You talked about the 3 C's.
Ooh. So I can't take credit for this. Anytime I refer to John Willie, that's AKA my father. And why I call him John Willie, that's too long to explain. So John Willie, my father, he always says when you are looking for a spouse, it is imperative that you look for the 3 C's. So what are the 3 C's? Their career, criminal record, and credit. These need to go in the foundation, hunty. And I believe in second chances, and it's gonna sound a little petty, but you just can't have it with me.
You can't what?
Have it with me. You can't have it with me. Because I only get this one life, and I'm trying to make it good as I can. So we need to know what direction we're going in for a career. We don't need the cops coming to our house. And don't buy more than you can afford. In fact, buy less so we can retire at some point. Okay? This is the end of the PSA announcement. Thank you.
Okay, so got that. That's me. But talk about that side of us that often comes into the relationships, and we don't have what I wanted to say, that we're not willing to understand and go through the process of the gamble, right? Go through the process of, first of all, peeling back the layers that we've often shown in the engagement process. And there's nothing wrong with having that, I won't say mask, but having a space where you guard yourself from the inward parts when you're just meeting someone. Of course, you want to make the best impression.
Yeah.
At some point, you need to show up for real, like authentically show up in the face, because we're talking about building a life together. Angie, wait, I'm gonna go back to Angie. She said, our representative portrays the best of what we can be in a healthy relationship. Got you. It's the what we can be.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that, Tobias?
But how long can you be that though?
Ooh.
And I can't marry your potential, honey. I need you to be what I see.
Wait. Let's get into this conversation right here. Okay. So Lisa said, I can't marry your potential. Mm-mm. And Tobias said, how long is that going to be? In so many words. I was having this conversation with some single women, and they were adamant. Like, I need you to show me all of you. I need to see it. I need to live with it. I need to know it. I need to see you at every level. And I said in the comment as a married woman, and I just had to say the truth, that's impossible. It's impossible. You're going to be waiting. Why? Because a person sometimes doesn't even know how they're going to evolve. So how can they show all of them before we say I do? Impossible.
Right. It's not happening.
Right. It sounds good, but it's no way that you're going to know everything. There's no way. There's no way I can show you everything.
Right. Somebody is giving your daddy some love. Angie said, yes, daddy is right. John said, one love to John Willie.
Yes, honey. Give a shout out. He just turned 75.
He said, I would add another C with all due respect, and that's calling. Woo! What is your calling? What's a greater purpose? Kenyatta, thank you for joining us. This is interesting. We want to hear from you. Hopefully you can join in the conversation. Thank you so much for being here. Where you hide, you attract people more strongly to your reputation.
Wait a minute, John. Man. That's the whole truth right there.
I'm only clutching imaginary pearls. I'm clutching imaginary pearls.
Yes, he done parted the sea. The whole sea.
Okay, I'm gonna let y'all take this. I'm gonna let y'all take this one.
But he's actually right, because again, I'm attracted to the representative, but as I stated earlier, how long does the representative stay here? Because at some point she has to leave or he has to leave. And now I'm stuck with you. Now what do I do?
Now I'm stuck with you. This all you got.
Yeah,
this what I've been waiting for. Walk, walk, walk.
We got your back. We got your back. You know what? And you coming with truth today, honey. You just on here today. He said, I don't agree to see it all in the beginning. He would have scared me off.
Okay.
Listen. Some of that is real talk. Come on.
And I would also say you would scare yourself. Like a person can't handle all that change at one time.
Right.
Like you can only change, I feel, so much at any given time, or you gonna break your dang on back. Because you can't, a human can't handle and process the emotions and trauma and all that at one time. So you got to kind of slow roll that. So yeah, I agree with Angela. I don't want to know all of everything. Like, give me breaks.
And the other thing is, sometimes we don't need to know it. Like there's some things that, and I'm saying, let me say this very carefully.
Yes, doctor.
I want to say this carefully. I understand that our mates are the closest that we have in a lot of ways, God than our mates. I get that. But there are some things that we need to process on our own without involving our mate in that process, and then come up to the space better, just a better person. Because sometimes they can't even handle what we bring.
Right.
That's when the counselor is needed.
That's my truth. I'm sticking to it. Come to me. Come for me in the comments. I'm waiting for it.
That's true.
Yeah, because that's when the counseling and therapy and the individual therapy is needed. So to help me unpack some things.
Yeah. I love that, Geraldine. You're correct. That it's impossible to see everything. The very nature of marriage brings out the difference. And it will, and then sometimes people, you're not willing or you're unable to see that they can be trusted right away. Like when I'm meeting you, right? Can I trust you with all of who I am? Not just that it'll scare you, but can I trust you with it? Our engagement helps to prove the process some, but then marriage happens and there's a different proving of the process. Right?
And events happen, and sometimes you got to reprove.
Mm-hmm. Wait. I gotta put this up. Geraldine said, but something about the representative should closely resemble the real.
Okay.
Something about it should like
you should be able to do this and see them a little bit. I agree.
I couldn't get a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde in you though, but come on. Yes. Okay, good talk. So if you're unwilling to assess, we've been talking about the self-assessment and as a couple assessing where we are, who we are. If you're unwilling to assess, you will set yourself in the partnership, the marriage, the home up for failure, right? You have you have to constantly reevaluate where we are, who am I as an individual, and then what am I bringing to the table, and how are we evolving as a couple? Let me put this up here as well. Trust is given up front. Ooh, and it is earned when it is broken. If you're not able to trust up front and take good risks, you're hurt and playing hurt. So you coming for me in the comments then, huh? You gonna come for me in the comments, Mr. John? I'll take it. Trust is given. All right.
But I mean, that's a good point. You're playing her. I was actually having a conversation last night with one of my girlfriends because she was like, oh, you are able to do XYZ because you had loyalty from a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yes, but just because I succeeded in this area of my life don't mean I didn't play hurt. You play hurt and you figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an excuse not to get better or to stay mad your whole life. Like, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I agree. You gotta play hurt. You play hurt and then you figure it out.
Yes. And Kenyatta said, everyone can't handle the thorns attached to your life. Woo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know, I think about that, and it's so true. But this is why, and for those who believe in God and being the center of marriage, this is why having a relationship with God matters. It's because where people can't handle the thorns, God will give them the grace to know what to say, how to do, to be able to assist us and help us in that process. So, good point, Kenyatta.
And also, I think John had, spoke about it earlier. He spoke about calling. Everyone can't handle your calling. So that's a whole nother dynamic to it. The calling. Your calling could scare people away.
Listen, I got the right husband for my calling because I'm a lot anyway. But this thing that I'm here to do, hunty, it takes Mr. Daniels all day.
Yeah. You know, God knows who to give us for sure.
Yes. That's why you just don't marry any old body.
Absolutely.
You let the Lord lead you.
You know what? I want to get to this point right here. This is very good. If you're not trusting, you got a God connection problem. Your faith game is lacking. Like John, you got some gems in the comments. Like, all right now. Come on with you.
That's another good one. Yeah.
Yes. So if you find yourself in a place where you've evolved, but your spouse hasn't, or at the rate that you have, take a moment to assess where you are and make sure that you are communicating that so that you grow as a couple, right? You're building this marriage, this home together. So let's jump into designing the plan, right? Restructuring of your personal blueprint to incorporate your spouse because you can't predict how you evolve. So this connection between behavior and mindset, as these two components heavily influence the manifestation of couples' lifestyle. Talk about that, Lisa, that connection between behavior and mindset.
I mean, so how I approach life, if my mindset is not there, or my success and progress stems from my mindset. So if my mindset is off, my faith is off, my trust is off, then I don't care what amount of energy I exert, it's falling short. So, and also to extend that into a marriage, if your values aren't aligned, if the direction you want to go in is not aligned, then you are all over the place and y'all arguing all the time and you just can't figure out like what's going on. You have to get on one accord to have that connection of success to move the family unit forward. So connection between where you're going and the overall mindset of the couple is so important.
Absolutely. What do you have to say on that, Edric?
Marriage becomes a lifestyle. Marriage becomes let me make sure I got this right. Make sure I wrote this down right. Before marriage becomes a lifestyle, it becomes a behavior. So I have to, so when we come to a marriage, we're coming from a single perspective. So all my ideology, all my knowledge is based on how single people respond. So, and the singleness plays to where I came from. It doesn't speak to where I'm going. So at some point I have to shift my thinking to reflect a marriage mindset.
Yes. And when you said something that your singleness doesn't necessarily reflect where you're going, but when you are designing this plan, this marriage, what we want our lifestyle to be as couples, then you have to plan with the end in mind, right? We have this goal. We've had conversation about what we want our lives to be. And planning with the end in mind is just like in any business. You plan with the end in mind and you work your way backwards. What goals are we going to have? What are the benchmarks? And it's okay to be specific, because in designing the plan, this is how you're going to know, are you reaching your goals, right? I have specific goals. These are our benchmarks. This is how we will assess that there's growth and fruit coming from this relationship. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the goal is to set tangible goals that you can see. So we can both be able to point to, okay, we're on pace, or this needs some improvement. Let's just say we're going to feed the homeless twice a year, and we will only able to do it once a year. So now we have some tangible evidence as to what went wrong, as to why we didn't make our goal to feed the homeless twice a year. So you need tangible goals with realistic expectations.
Yes, absolutely. So let's reset. I've been saying that in Clubhouse lately. Let's reset the space for a moment. For those who are joining us, we are talking about a better me, better us, the work that goes into building great marriages, great families, and ultimately great communities. So if you're just joining us or you're catching us on the replay, glad you're here. If you're joining us now live, please give StreamYard permission so we can see your post, because we want to hear you and speak to you and see you and be a part of this fire conversation. So when we're talking about the assessment and having the tangible goals, what have you seen, John, in your work with couples where there were unrealistic goals, if that makes sense?
You said John. Yeah.
John, you all in my head on this slide. John. Tobias is looking at me like, don't call me another man.
No, I thought you were typing to John.
That's hilarious.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. God is my boy. Okay, so Tobias, tell us, have you seen that in couples where there were unrealistic goals that they had, so they're coming to you because we weren't on the same page because they were unrealistic from the get-go? Have you had any experience with that?
Yes, and it's usually, again, takes time for people to evolve. So we don't evolve at the same stage and at the same rate. So just because you're already presumed to be where you want to be, I'm a little stagnant and I'm slow to get there, doesn't mean I'm not going to arrive. So I need that grace period for me to arrive at that certain destination. So the expectation is a little skewed because you are under the impression I've already gotten there. Why aren't you there?
You talked about something in our planning, Tobias, in regards to understanding your plan is personalized. Therefore, there's a need for a merger of perspectives and ideologies as well as compromise. And you were talking about this, as long as I take care of the house, then everything's okay. Speak to that. Spill some tea.
Okay. When I got married, I was told that as long as you take care of the house and take care of her, then you will be fine. Everything else will work itself out. Sounds good, but not true. Because she's a person too, and she needs things, and she needed me. And so I was dealing with, I was coming from the single lifestyle where if something was wrong, I would just go ahead and purchase it. And this would make things better. You go out, you buy this, and okay, now everything is better. Sounds good in a single lifestyle with just being boyfriend and girlfriend. However, in the confines of a marriage, that doesn't always work that way. So when she said something, she said, I didn't want the things, I wanted you. And so now when you say, I want you, but you're asking for, again, we're talking about evolving, you're asking for a person that I haven't evolved into yet. So you're asking for a person, essentially, I don't even know yet. So, so that's where the growth has to take place, and the grace has to take place for me to evolve into the person that you see today. And the same goes perhaps with her.
But let's be clear, the things are nice too. That goes back to the 3 C's: career. The things are nice too.
I cannot. I have no words. I have no words.
Things are nice. Yes, things are nice.
You know, we were talking about, I did a post this past week and talks about perspectives matter, right? And I think this is where the grace comes in. T.D. Jakes had a saying that he did in a sermon that you can't, a giraffe can't argue with a turtle's perspective, and neither can a turtle argue with a giraffe's perspective, right? They just had two different ranges. And it's not necessarily that the person is hating or unwilling. They just have a different perspective. And sometimes you have to agree to disagree, agree that a person is in their certain level of perspective, and give them the grace to get where they need to get. And somehow you all meet in a compromising space, if that makes sense. Talk about that.
I just, when you speak about grace, because in the confines of a marriage, we are a team. So grace covers.
Like love covers. You better come on, preacher.
So because we're a team, so grace covers, love covers, while you become the thing that is needed.
Yes. Woo,
and that's what leads to long marriages. I mean, if I'm like, all the time picking at you. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? I mean, people get tired. People get tired of that, and they be like, "Well, why am I even here? Like, I'm not the person you need me to be, so I'm out." So, you know, before we came on the show, which I thought was a valid point, it's just like people say get 50-50 in a marriage, and it's 100-100, right? So.
But 𝗕𝗘𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥 said it feels so good to have, you know, at 50-50, that's 70-30. That's okay. That's something else. Okay.
And how did that work? Okay.
It did not.
It did not work.
It's a good baby making song. But that's about all it's worth.
But it's not reality. It's not reality. It's not reality. Wait, it's a good song.
Yeah.
Just don't apply.
So when you think about, we've done this assessment, right? And we're in the process of having the blueprint. We're creating the plan of what our marriage will be. What will our home look like? What will it feel like? We're giving each other grace. We have to put these things into action, right? Sometimes we get stuck on I know to do, but I'm unwilling to do the work. We have to do the work of marriage. We can't dodge it. We can't wish it away. We can't pray it away. We can't gift it away, GIFT it away, right? You have to do the work that it takes in holding people up, holding yourself up, and coming to the marriage. And so this is one thing that we said, and it's a gem. You cannot expect harvest if you did not plant and water any seeds.
Because your grass can be just as green as the other side if you just water your own grass.
And plant some seeds.
Yes.
And you don't expect to harvest in the same season that you plant.
Wait. I feel the church choir sing.
Listen, you done said a whole word, honey. Because these people who just get married, they be thinking, hey, it's gonna be a honeymoon all the time.
Oh my God. Like,
no.
If you kind of sort of try, I heard this on the social, you kind of sort of get results. You got to put the work in.
You got to go hard to the paint every day. Every day.
Wait. John said, get off the internet to buy his word. Look, John, he got me over here. Wait, I'm the choir. Come on in. Good word. So we want to know, this is our engagement question, and I can't wait for you all to get involved in this, because this right here. Okay, so what are you willing to divest for your end game?
This is what makes me unstoppable, because my dad, and part of this question came from something that my dad told me. Again, give it up to John Willie. He was like, people always willing to invest to get what they want, but sometimes you got to decide what you're willing to divest to get what you want. And so this is where I'm gonna stop. This is where I make my money. If I ain't get what I want investing with you, I will switch it up on you so fast you won't know what hit you. Peace out. Because I'm got to get to the end goal. Like, it's really about being an awareness of what's not working anymore. And don't be so hard pressed to go with your idea or what you think is right. Sometimes there are smarter people in the room than you. Because if you're the smartest person in the room, then you might need to get in a different room.
Okay, so when you talk about yes, and we often talk about investment. What are you willing to invest, right? But divesting is that what are you willing to deprive yourself of? And I think about the scripture that says that contention cometh but by pride. Are you willing to deprive yourself of ego, of being right? And so this is where I need to confess to the saints of God. So
come to the altar. Come on to the altar.
I'm coming to the altar, Pastor. I'm coming to the altar. So I was having this conversation with my husband, right? And we're going and having a conversation, and we have great conversations. But they get to a point where he wants to be right. That's what I think, right? And so I'm like, dude, can I be right in this conversation this time? And I had to really think about what am I willing to not be right to move us forward, right? Can I deprive myself of my ego? Can I deprive myself of the pride to move us forward? We're not in competition. We just have different perspectives, and I have to be okay with saying, you know what, that's your perspective, but not me, not 𝗕𝗘𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥
Not your whole name today.
If my mama say Dr. 𝗕𝗘𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥, I gotta be right.
Right.
I gotta be right. But it made me think about long scale, the end game. Does anyone watch the Avengers, the end game? Anyone see? Anyone? In the Avengers end game, they knew that they had to, someone had to be sacrificed to get that last stone that would save humanity. Of course, no one went into it thinking that someone would have to give their life, but they were willing to do what it took to get to the end game. And that's what we have to think about in our marriages. Are we willing to go the mile to invest and divest, deprive ourselves of our ego and whatever we want to see? Because by nature, we're just selfish individuals. Are we willing to deprive ourselves for the end game of the relationship? Oh, yeah.
We ain't amen as much as the same way you preaching.
We ain't shouting as good as you preaching. That's what you're saying.
I mean, that's so true. It's just like, and also I think understanding what you're good at and what you're not, and when you need to step back and when you need to step up. Like I feel in my marriage right now, I'm at a place where I need to step back. And allow my husband to be a different sort of man. It's not that I can't bring it, because I can, but it's I feel like I'm at a space where he needs to shine. Yeah. And he needs to like step in a different light. And it's okay. Like, you don't, that's why I got married. I don't need to always be the front man. You know, it's just like step back, roll back, and like that makes it better. It's like you tag teaming. Yes.
Kenyatta said, and we've been talking about this. Marriage starts at this is right down Tobias's leg. Marriage after the wedding and honeymoon.
Talk about it. Talk about a resident whole husband. This your space. This is your space to shine, honey.
But she's absolutely right. It does start after the wedding and after the honeymoon, because we're often under the impression that, oh, it's going to be fun and games throughout the marriage, but it's not. That's when the fight really starts, and that's when we have to learn each other, because again, as I stated earlier, that I'm evolving and she's evolving. So, and we're not evolving at the same rate. So yes, that's absolutely right, that the marriage starts then. To piggyback on what Lisa said, I often say, I want to put us in a position to win, or put you in a position to win, which means that I may have to stand back while you shine. Because again, the end goal is for us to get to the next level. So, things are seasonal. And so just because it was my season this time, at some point your season will come for your spouse. And so that means I have to be prepared to step back and push her forward.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I was reading through the comments and something came up, and I want Tobias to talk about this for a moment. This is interesting. John said, ironically, one needs divorce tactics in a marriage. We have to learn how to divest the unnecessary efficiently and productively. You all talk about that. Talk about that.
One needs divorce taxes in the marriage. We have to learn how to divest on it. Yeah. Let's see. How can because one of the tactics again is to split up. And again, that could be the enemy. So, and that's something that we don't like to talk about. If God exists, then obviously the enemy does too. So, one of the tactics of being of a divorce is the selfish mindset. It's about me and not willing to put the other person forward when their time comes, and that definitely can lead to divorce. I'm thinking of an example of when my wife was in school to get her certification. And that's when the cooking had to take, a lot of the cooking took place, because again, I understood that she was studying and she was in school. So, okay, at least you'll have something to eat. I can make sure that I can do the groceries. I can do all that, do whatever I need to do to make sure all your attention is focused on your certification and you in school. That's me, again, taking the step back, allowing her to shine. Because again, if she shines, I shine. We are a team, we are a unit. So but a selfish mindset will be like, I still need you to cook. I still need you to do these other things. And again, that possibly could have led to a divorce because I'm being selfish.
And the reality is understanding that we have decided to come together in partnership. Too brilliant, too vibrant, too entrepreneurial individuals who are deeply, in some ways, flawed, but we have still made this commitment for a marriage, a home, a life where both of us win, right? Because I can't win without him, and he can't win without me in a marriage, right? So that's a great conversation. What are you willing? I think that's a great space to end the conversation. Is what are you willing to divest for your end game? So if you are single and coming into a thing, contemplating marriage or engaged and having conversations, you should be thinking about, or even in season marriages and your marriage is going through a more mature season, or maybe you need to spark your marriage. What are you willing to divest or deprive yourself of for the betterment of the unit? And so we want to thank you all so much for coming in. Thank you for joining the discussion. We've been talking about a better you. I keep saying better you. I just won't take the responsibility. Better you for us for two sessions in January, because we thought this was a great time to kick off the new year 2021, focused on how do we develop personally and as a unit going into this next year. So we talked about assessment, we talked about having a plan, and then we talked about putting the work in with the plan. Next month, we're going to be talking about the blueprint, really diving into how you create this blueprint, talking about the different rooms of marriage. Woo, it's going to be juicy. You have to come back to hear us. And so if you're not following us, please visit our social media platforms to stay connected. Tell somebody about us. If you're catching this on the replay, please put your comments in, because we want to see what you have to say and be a part of the truth and nothing but the truth. Did I miss out on anything, anyone?
No, as usual, doctors. Another great session, honey.
Yes. And I tell you what, I think this is probably not even probably, this is such a rich conversation that we're going to have to develop some training around how do we get to the better me, better us. See, we can give you the this is what you should do, but the how to, we're going to work with you on that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you so much for being live in our comments. Be safe, be blessed. Happy 2021. We'll see you in February. Y'all take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.